Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your girl JoJo, and I'm here with the review for Ready to Love. This is the Potomac reunion. So let's just get right into the review. Hold on just a moment, though. All right, let's get right into the review. So the review starts out with nephew Tommy just going over some of the sexual innuendos that happened. We're skipping that. We don't care. Then they kind of go into how everybody felt about the blind dates. For the most part, everybody was cool with the curveball of the blind dates. I think Paul P.O. had a different explanation. Not a bad one, but just like a lengthier explanation. You guys know P.O. likes to break it down. But we don't really care about that either. We want to get into the meat and potatoes of the reunion. And so we started out with Sabrina, Demetrius, and Tori and the whole Truth or Dare debacle. Now, Sabrina explains to everybody that off to the side, Demetrius had talked to her and said that he is trying to give her a certain energy. He gave her a certain energy off in the corner, and not to sound like that, but he kind of was giving her a certain energy, and he was saying like, this is what I'm on, this is the kind of time I'm on, this is the kind of energy I want you to give me in return. And Sabrina was like, yeah, okay, let me do that for him, let me return that energy. So when it came time to do the Truth or Dare, she went towards Demetrius because that was a conversation and a moment that they had before. And people kind of start asking her, okay, so you go out all these dates with Tori, but then you get like 10-15 minutes with Demetrius, and all of a sudden you switched it up. And she was like, no. I had connections with Demetrius and Tori the entire time. And so when I went over to the side with Demetrius, that was just a smaller part of what we normally do. You know, he doesn't always pursue me on screen in public. He's not going to be that type of person. He barely smiles, so you know he's not going to give me all that energy all the time in front of everybody, but he did give it, and so that's why I went off to the side. I thought it was interesting that she was saying that because she told Demetrius in person during the cabin trip that she needed more from him. So it makes me wonder, was he really giving you that energy in other areas at other times? I don't really know. But at this moment, she's saying that yes, he was. And so that is why she went towards him. She probably should have just forgot about the whole moment and took a shot, but she went for it. She also says that the reason why it got so hyped up is because a lot of people just made assumptions. A lot of people assumed that she was going towards Tori, and that hyped everybody up, like Joy. Okay, making that assumption. So Joy takes that as a personal, I guess she took that as like some heat coming from Sabrina. I don't know if I would have took it as that. I would have just been like, shoot, I made the assumption because I thought you was feeling him like that. My bad. But Joy was just like, well, when we were in the lounge, you were saying that he came out like this and he was doing this. And she was like, yeah, but I was talking about Demetrius when it came to that. But I've also talked about Tori too, because they had a connection as well. Joy is defending her point and why she made that assumption and why she was feeling like that. And she was just like, listen, Tori is more expressive. Tori is more like in your face. I thought that he was going to be like, oh, I got you on my turn. Like, I thought we were going to have some playful banter. I didn't even know it was going to go that way. And here comes Joy saying, well, that was an assumption too. That was an assumption that you made about Tori. Joy, I did feel like you were quite vocal the entire cabin trip about other people's situations when you only really needed to be focused on Clifton, but that was just from what I saw on the camera. I mean, she probably just don't like Sabrina, and I don't think Sabrina's a fan favorite for sure, but I don't know. I just wouldn't have gave it all that energy. I would have just been like, well, I assumed because I thought you was feeling him like that. But don't blame it on me, girl, that it all got messed up. I would have left it at that. Like you said, you should have took the shots. But they had a little back and forth. But Nephew Tommy was able to kind of steer it back in the right direction. And Tori just says he felt played. You know, he was surprised. Even the cameraman was like, dang, dog. So there's that whole situation with Sabrina, Tori, and Demetrius. Okay, so we have Carmen and Donovan. Now, right before they get to Carmen and Donovan's part, Tina is backstage telling people that she blocked them because just like she blocked everybody. Nobody cares. Donovan and Carmen are on stage. They're talking about their relationship, talking about the connections that they had. Carmen talks about how they had chemistry and how she felt butterflies when he touched her on her leg, and things are going really well between them. We don't even have to get into like the ins and outs. A lot of the reunion was them playing back clips and then explaining the moments and the clips and all of that. But overall, she says that they're doing well. Donovan says they're doing well. They're doing well with each other, doing well with each other's families. And as they continue to grow and change, you know, the relationship will grow and change. So I guess they're doing good, y'all. That's what they said. They're doing good, right? So that's all I got with Donovan and Carmen. This was uncomfortable for me to watch. So Dakia and Eric, they talk about the situation that happened. Dakia explains what happened. They were doing a pose. He switched the pose up, you know, trying to be funny. He thought he could touch her that way because of the rapport that they had built up. They had kissed before. They had been hanging out. They had probably flirting and like sexual talk of some sort. And he just thought it was appropriate. Dakia told him it was inappropriate, to which he did apologize. And Dakia says that she wishes the apology would have came sooner. Whenever Dakia said that, Eric's cool, calm, and collected demeanor that he had been having up on that stage completely left him. And y'all, were his glasses tinted? I'm about to go back and look, because I do not like when people wear tinted glasses when they're talking to somebody face to face, but I really can't remember. I'm going to go back and look. But he starts saying, look, I was trying to be nice. He does throw a few curse words around. And he was like, how the F was I supposed to apologize to you immediately when you weren't even trying to... I guess he was saying like he didn't really know immediately that something was wrong. So how am I supposed to apologize to you immediately? And she said, you did know immediately because Paul was there. Paul saw me hit you and say, I'm a lady. You don't do that. And Paul agrees. I did see you do that. He's just like, I don't want to get into the he say, she say, you know, I don't want to. She was like, well, thankfully we can get into the he say, she say. Thankfully somebody was around, or else it would just be my word against yours. Dakia also talks about how she didn't appreciate her character being slandered, and Eric was like, who slandered your character? And I guess she's talking about friends and associates of his, and he was like, let's just keep them out of it. Let's talk about us. He grows in and a little bit more frustrated. Dakia's frustrated as well. I was glad that nephew Tyler Perry stepped in on this one too and was just like, you know what? The bottom line is he apologized. You accept the apology and let's just try to move forward from it. But I just, it was uncomfortable the way that Eric just kind of went from cool, calm, collective, I apologize, to, you know, what the F was I supposed to do, and why the F, and you felt disrespected, and I don't know why you felt disrespected because of all the things that we had done already. I don't know, just something about it was just like, are you really sorry for what you did, or are you just kind of saying it to save face, and you really still felt like, based on the relationship y'all had, you should have been able to touch her like that? That's what it sounded like to me. But you guys can tell me if I'm reading it wrong or how you felt about the situation. But I just thought it was weird the way that he just kind of went to another level with it. I also thought it was very telling that some of the people backstage just thought that was funny. Like, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling the whole scene. You guys let me know what you think, though. I could just be overthinking it. Just let me know. After this, we don't have to talk to Sabrina or about Sabrina anymore. Her, Donovan, and Demetrius are on stage. And nephew Tyler Perry wants to know, if both of you are divorced, how did you figure that Donovan wasn't ready to love, but you feel like you are ready to love? Sabrina understands that if you go with her herself, went from 10 years of being with one person to trying to juggle these three men. So it definitely was difficult for her. But when it came to Donovan, she always felt like he was just trying to get in where he fit in. It wasn't really an intentional process. And some would argue, Sabrina, that you might have been trying to get in where you fit in as well. But she says that she just didn't feel it from Donovan. She didn't feel like he was ready, just due to the things he had been through and due to the things that he experienced, this, that, and the third. Donovan feels like it is really a bunch of malarkey. And she says, well, you told me yourself that had you started the process earlier, you would have been going home with another woman. So she's trying to prove her point that he was trying to get in where he fit in, and that woman would have been Joy, because, you know, you got to name names. You got to name names for the reunion. Precious pipes up and said he told me that as well. And then Donovan gets upset and says, okay, hold on a minute, Golden Girls. Y'all not finna sit here and do that to me. And I was just like, Golden Girls? Now, first of all, I'm not offended. I've always called myself a Golden Girl. Thank you for being a friend. I'm not at hot girl level anymore. However, I just want to point out that both of those women are younger than the women that are younger than the woman that you are currently with. If we are trying to crack at age, I'm not really sure, but I would have been like, absolutely, thank you for being a friend. But Donovan tells the Golden Girls that they got to be quiet, and Joy is back there cackling. Y'all, I was not feeling Joy for this reunion. I really wasn't. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. But she was back there cackling about the joke, and it was silly. It was silly. Sabrina and Donovan are not going to agree on that whole, was he ready to love or was he not ready to love? Then they move into why Sabrina, after they move into why she distanced herself from Donovan, they then move into why did she distance herself from Demetrius? Why didn't you want to meet his parents? And she says there was a situation that happened, and Demetrius went and he had already had a discussion with his mom about it before I even came there. And I'm just like, well, if you've already discussed that with her, what are we even doing? Like, everything was rocky for her at that point. We find out the situation was that Donovan told Demetrius that him and Sabrina had kissed about 2 weeks prior. Demetrius felt some type of way about it, which is probably why he spoke to his mom about the situation first, and then he invited Sabrina to meet them. She just didn't feel comfortable doing it anymore. So, excuse me, y'all. So I can kind of see why Demetrius might have reviewed it with his mom. Like, maybe they're just that close. Maybe they have that kind of rapport with one another. But I also understand why Sabrina's like, dang, I don't even know if I want to come over there now. You done already told her, what happened. She might be looking at me like, who's this harlot that you brought into my house? Donovan says he didn't tell Demetrius to hurt him. He told him just because he wanted to inform him. He had respect for him. Now, we all know that's a lie, right? This is very much a woman to woman, a Barbara, this is Shirley type of moment. We know why Donovan said it. We know that he probably wanted to get back at Sabrina. He's not fooling me. Just keep it real and say that's what you was doing, baby. It's okay. It's okay. But Sabrina says the kiss was good, but it wasn't worth all the trouble. And Donovan said, finally, we agree on something. Now, I have a question, you guys. When you're dating multiple people, when you're seeing multiple people, nobody has locked down a commitment. Do you tell the other person that you were kissing somebody? Like, I know this is a dating show, so you have to be a little bit more transparent, but I just don't know if that is something that I would have thought to tell anybody. Like, okay, we kissed. Like, I don't really know. I mean, this show ain't really for I don't know. I just don't feel like in a real world, in a real live situation, that's probably not something that you're going to share. Like, well, the other night, I just want you to know that I did kiss Donovan. So I guess when you're doing Ready to Love, you just got to keep your hands, your mouth, your lips, your everything to yourself to be in the safe zone. But I do feel like Donovan told to hurt Demetrius and to get back at Sabrina. I really do believe that he did that, but he did it because he had respect for him. Barbara, this is Shirley. Okay, so lastly, we got Big Vern, and all I want to know, Big Vern, is why? What was the reason? What was the reason? What was the reason for you to have your knees out like this on this reunion stage? Who was the stylist? I know who the stylist was. It was Big Vern, because Big Vern can do all things through Big Vern that strengthens him. So Big Vern gets up there, and the main meat and potatoes of the whole thing is what happened for the elimination process with Big Vern. There was some underhanded sneakiness going on. The ladies were talking amongst each other. There was some he say, she say. Carmen called Precious, or Precious called Carmen, and they were conspiring against Big Vern and Ace to get Big Vern gone. And maybe some of the other people who were they wanted Big Vern gone for sure, right? Sabrina was okay with it because she didn't have a romantic connection with him, so she didn't care. Who else was it? Tina didn't answer the phone, and Tina was just glad to not be a part of it. But there's a back and forth between Precious and between Big Vern about who said what, what was the case, what was the conspiring against, why did Big Vern get eliminated, who said what to who. There's just a lot of back and forth that actually is going to continue in the second part of the reunion. But what I do know is Big Vern was upset. He didn't appreciate the way he was being spoken to. He didn't appreciate being called certain things by certain women, particularly Precious, when she called him a narcissist. He's telling Precious that she needs to fess up and she needs to tell what happened and she needs to tell what she did. And Precious was like, I already told you. I told you everything to your face. Everything I did was to your face. As far as Big Vern and Ace, there is no more them. Ace says that she has blocked him. And Nephew Tyler Perry wants to know, is the door open, Ace, for you to possibly get with Big Vern again? Ace doesn't answer that question. I was kind of aggravated that Nephew Tyler Perry even put her on the spot to answer the question in front of everybody. Like, she doesn't have to do that. Don't put me on the spot to answer whether or not I'm going to be with this man. Like, let me decide on my own. But Big Vern was on one, but so was Precious. Precious was on one too. We're going to see more of Precious in part 2 of the reunion, where she is truly going off. And to the point where Demetrius asked her, was she high? And baby, she didn't like that. She didn't like that, honey. Precious was cutting up at that reunion. I do like that wig much better. Much better than the one she had on the show. But yeah, we're just going to see what happens, you guys. It's a lot going on in this reunion, child, at least towards the end. What did you guys think? And how did you guys feel about the reunion? How are you feeling about everybody now that the reunion is on? Has your thoughts changed about some people? Because mine has. But there's going to be more in the second part. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys for the next one. Bye.